Alabama folk singer is dead after she was attacked by a pair of coyotes.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey...
He hit your face off!
We actually have a trainer in the water with one of our whales.
If I show weakness, if I retreat, I may be hurt, I may be killed.
Baby Azaria Chamberlain was taken by a dingo back in 1980.
Bit of an unusual way to start the episode today. I was sent an ad read for a potential sponsor of the show, and I guess they want to see how I cold read it, I guess. The email says, please read this sight unseen, live on air. Please read verbatim, but put your own little Jimmy spin on it. I don't like that, by the way, little Jimmy spin. I don't like that at all. But we are going to read it because I need money, and there's not enough Patreon people. So we are going to read it. Sight unseen, I do want you to know I haven't read this yet. So, yeah, here we go. Little vocal warm up there. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. Are you fed up with those dull, lifeless cleaning tools that couldn't scrub a shit stain if... Oh, hey, come on. I can't read that in an ad read. What's wrong with them? This is the copy they sent me. Okay, I'm going to stick with it. Are you fed up with those dull, lifeless cleaning tools that couldn't scrub a shit stain if their spongy little lives depended on it? Well, it's time to chuck those pathetic excuses in the trash, very aggressive, and upgrade to the wildest, most outrageous cleaning tool ever created, the Toilet Tornado 3000. Not a fan of the name, but so far, so good. Introducing the Toilet Tornado 3000, the world's first turbocharged, rhythm-sensing toilet brush that puts the party in potty. With its patented spit-in-my-mouth bristle... What? No. With its patented spit-in-my-mouth bristles, the Toilet Tornado 3000 doesn't just clean, it cleans. Why? It annihilates grime with the power of 1,000 genocides. Whether you're tackling the filthiest of piss stains, scrubbing down the nastiest bathroom tiles, or confronting unmentionable messes, the Toilet Tornado 3000 turns your bathroom into a raving dance floor. But hang on to your toilet seats, folks, because this isn't just any old toilet brush. The Toilet Tornado 3000 comes with a built-in speaker and Bluetooth connectivity. Don't need that. Sync it with your device, blast your favorite tunes, and watch as the Toilet Tornado 3000 shakes its little spit-in-my-mouth bristles like it's possessed by a DJ on a heroin high. Okay. It's like having a tiny, crazed janitor who won't stop grooving in your toilet. Don't like that. Until it's cleaner than your conscience. Oh, okay. And here's the best part. Order now and get the exclusive Bathroom Disco Deluxe add-on, transforming your bathroom into a ludicrous mini nightclub with LED lights and a glitter ball effect. Plus, for a limited time only, we're including the Toilet Tornado's 3000 Greatest Hit playlist, featuring such classics as Flush Funk Fever, Plunger Party Album, Grime, Grind, Groove, and... I'm not saying it. N-words in Paris. I'm not saying that. Why suffer through boring cleaning when you can have an absolute piss riot in your bathroom? Call 1-800-TURBO-LOO or visit www. 4 W's, 6 W's, .toilettornadodelight.com, but with a U instead of an O, okay? To get yours today. The Toilet Tornado 3000 cleaning has never been this wild or hilariously filthy. Okay, well, there you go. That's our first ever ad read on the show, and I'm not pleased by how that went. Yeah, great. I sort of figured if we're not going to get real sponsors, feel free to send in your own fake ad reads and we'll read them at the top of the episode, just to set the tone of the episode, because we talk about some pretty grisly, gnarly stuff on the show. It can get pretty nasty, so I don't think it's wrong to set the tone as a more jovial kind of thing when we can at the very beginning. Welcome back, everybody, to Man Eaters, the only true crime podcast on the internet where all the killers are real animals, whether it's bitings, scratchings, maulings, or clawings. We're here to talk about it. I'm your host, Jimmy, joined as always by my co-host, Empty Chair. And joining us semi-frequently now is African Drum Circle. How are you both? Wonderful, wonderful. Look, you guys might be hearing my voice. It's a little bit, I don't know what you'd call this, distorted, scratchy a little bit. I'm sick again, guys. You're sick of hearing about it. I am. I just think I might just have like some kind of long COVID. I got COVID the first time and it's just fucked me forever. I'm pretty sure I had COVID this week. I didn't, I tested negative yesterday, but yeah, my voice is a little bit messy today, so I apologize for that. Unless something in my gravelly tones is stirring something in you. My sick demeanor, it's awakening something in you, something deep inside you that you didn't know you had. You now are sexually attracted to me. Yeah, baby. Oh, we're back with a new episode of Man Eaters. Thank you so much for joining us. Wow, we're like 6 minutes into the episode and haven't even said what we're doing. Today, we are doing the second part of our Weird and Wild series. Last week, we looked at a list of animals that had been killed by people in weird, sometimes humorous ways. So we were looking at animals that were killed not in hunting or not in like animal cruelty necessarily, or also maybe not like for for food or anything like that. We were looking at animals that were killed in supremely unique ways. We, of course, started our list with a lot of animals being hanged for crimes, which is what they used to do. They used to put an animal on trial, and I guess if it shakes its tail too much, it's a witch, and they hang it. And then we transitioned into I'll be completely honest, an odd number of, or an oddly high number of birds being killed in sports, as well as a deer being hit by a F1 car. So, yes, today we're looking at part 2 of that list. We're not looking at the animals that were killed in weird ways by people. We're looking at the inverse. We're looking at people who were killed by animals in weird ways. Now, we're nearly 100 episodes into the show now. What I mean by this is I don't mean an animal that attacks a human for defense or for predation or because it was provoked or for any reason. I'm talking about animals that kill people in very unique circumstances. And I think you'll understand a little bit more about what I mean when we get into the list. So I will tell you this, and I think I mentioned this last week, this idea for this episode came about for an idea for another podcast that I've been, playing with, doing an episode on like people who die in weird ways. Like there was the guy who invented the Segway and he died because he drove a Segway off a cliff. Or there was that guy from, I think, Toronto in Canada who died because he was showing his employees how strong the windows on his 80-story building were, and he threw himself at the window and the window popped out and he died. Yeah, that's my idea for this other potential podcast. But this is kind of like a soft launch of that because this is a lot of those entries have to do with animals, and we're going to talk about them today. I should say there are so goddamn many of these instances throughout history. What we're hearing today is just going to be since the year 2000, so the last 24 years pretty much. There are obviously many more years that happened before that in history, and a lot of animals killed a lot of people in a lot of strange ways, but there are frankly too many for one episode, so we're going to focus just from 2000 and onward. And if you like this episode, let me know, and we can do another episode in the future where we go back to maybe like the beginning of the 1900s, or we could do it century by century or decade by decade. But we are going to start with just from the 2000s, which is where we're going to start now, actually. So strap in, guys, strap on, get your strap-ons on, strap in your strap-ons, and buckle your little seatbelt. Even if you're not in the car, you should have a seatbelt. It's just safe. And let's get ready for the Weird and the Wild Part 2. So our first person on this list, and it's an unfortunate way to start, it's with a 7-year-old girl. Her name was Bliss Scott. She died on the 4th of June in 2000. she actually died because she touched an African snail. And then the African snail itself isn't dangerous, but it does carry certain diseases. This one, unfortunately, was carrying a disease known as meningoencephalitis, which is caused by the Angiostrongylus cantonensis parasite, I believe. This is actually the first reported case of a human fatality linked to the African snail. So, yeah, kind of a sad way to start, but I guess some of the entries on this list are people who died from not necessarily in strange ways, but from strange animals. If you're the only person who's died from a certain animal, I think you get put on the list. So that was Bliss Scott. Very sad to start that way. Now, the next one is less sad. I mean, it's sad, but in kind of in a different way. You probably heard about this guy when you were a kid, because a lot of urban legends came around. I remember hearing about this guy. His name is Kenneth Pinyang. He died on July 2nd, 2005. And I'm going to just preface this with you knew what you were getting into. So this guy died from injuries that were caused by anal sex with a stallion. Yeah, so I think he was, how do I say this? He was a bottom when he should have been a top. I don't know. I don't know if you guys spend a lot of time looking at horse cocks, but they're big. They're big. It's like my arm. It's pretty bad. So yeah, you can imagine what that would do to a guy. I'm pretty sure it ruptured some of his organs. I don't really understand why he did this. There was something wrong with him. He has his own Wikipedia page. I'll tell you that much. He does have his own Wikipedia page, which is called the. I've got really bad Wi-Fi today, but I will look this up for you. It's called the Umenclaw horse sex case, and you know what? Let's read a little bit about it because it's yeah, it's a lot. Weirdly enough, I'm looking at this. There's a little case filed in the sides, and it has participants, which is Kenneth Pinyang, also known as Mr. Hands. Don't like that. Then it has the stallion, which we knew about, but then there's also two other dudes who were involved. So let's just read through. We're not going to read the whole thing. We're just going to find out how they're involved in this. So again, just reading off Wikipedia, how do I say this? The Enumclaw horse sex case was a series of incidents in 2005 involving Kenneth D. Pinyang, an engineer who worked for Boeing. Oh, wow. Boeing's reputation is great right now. And resided in Gig Harbor, Washington. James Michael Tate, a truck driver, Douglas Spink, and another unidentified man. Pinyang and Tate filmed and distributed zoophilic pornography of Pinyang receiving anal sex from a stallion under the alias Mr. Hands. Ooh, should be called Mr. Butt, Mr. Broken Butt, I don't know. After engaging in this activity on multiple occasions over an unknown span, Pinyang received fatal internal injuries in one such incident. Now, this is interesting. As bestiality was legal in Washington state at the time, Tate was convicted of trespassing instead of any other crime and was sentenced to a 1-year suspended sentence. God. Let's read about Pinyang's death. That's the thing. The incident that killed Pinyang occurred at a 40-acre farm located in an unincorporated area in King County, Washington, 5 miles northwest of the city of Enumclaw. I'm sure Enumclaw is really happy that they get their name plastered on this, even though it didn't happen in their city. Sergeant John Uquast, is that how I say that? Ukhart, of the sheriff office, said that typically men were... It sucks that you have to say typically. Typically, men were having sex with a horse whose name was not publicly disclosed on the property of James Michael Tate, a truck driver who lived in a trailer next to the farm. But, quote, on this particular night, it is my understanding that the horse wasn't particularly receptive. Pinyang, Tate, and a third unidentified man snuck into the barn of the Southeast 444th Street farm that night. Either Pinyang or the unidentified man recorded Tate being anally penetrated by a stallion the men referred to as big dick. Really creative, guys. After finishing, Tate then filmed Pinyan being anally penetrated by the same horse. During this incident, Pinyan suffered internal injuries, including a perforated colon. On July 2nd, 2005, Douglas Spink dropped Pinyan off at the Unumclaw Community Hospital. Medical staff wheeled Pinyan into examination rooms before discovering he was dead. According to the medical examiner's office, Pinyan, age 45, died of acute peritonitis, I don't know, due to a perforated colon, and the death was ruled accidental. I want to know what happened to the horse. Is the horse okay? I mean, obviously the horse isn't okay. No, it doesn't say. Oh, that's sad. Oh well, anyway. It's not the saddest thing to happen in this case. Pretty fucked. Literally. Horse fucked. Well, that was the story of Mr. Hands and Big Dick. I'm glad. Should that be the title of this episode? The crude tale of Mr. Hands and Big Dick. All right, moving on. Another story. We have talked about this story in depth. Steve Irwin is the next person on the list. He died on the 4th of September 2006. The Australian wildlife expert and television personality was pierced in the chest by a short-tailed stingray's barb while filming in shallow water on the Great Barrier Reef. And because this is a super unique animal to kill someone, he makes the list. If you want, I think it's episode 50 or something, or maybe 75, we have a whole episode on Steve Irwin. Go and listen to that if you're interested. Well, let's move on for now. The next victim, well, we're going to call him victim until we see what happened to him. Her name was Judy K. Zagorski. She died on the 20th of March 2008. The 57-year-old from Pigeon, Michigan, died of blunt force craniocerebral trauma when a 75-pound, which is 34 kilograms, that's not light, spotted eagle ray leapt out of the water and knocked her off the coast of Marathon Key, Florida. The ray also died. Wow. So was she on the beach or was she on a boat? Because I've heard of people in boats getting killed by, fish jumping out and landing on them. It just says she was on the coast. Yeah, wow. Marathon Key, Florida. Craniocerebral trauma, that hurts. A spotted eagle ray, they're beautiful. Those animals are hot. No, they're beautiful. Yeah, wow. Unlucky. The next person also, well, I'm going to call it unlucky. I guess I'm the unlucky one for having to read this. An unknown female died on the 7th of October 2008. A 43-year-old Irish woman died of having an anaphylactic allergic reaction after having sex with a German Shepherd. Its owner, Sean McDonnell, and the woman met in an internet chat room for bestiality. McDonnell was prosecuted and added to a sex offender list. Oh, the dog was later euthanized? That's sad. So she had an anaphylactic reaction. That means you're you have an allergy to it. That's anaphylaxis is what happens when you eat like a peanut and you're allergic to peanuts. So was she allergic to the dog? Or was she like, oh, this is gross, but was she allergic to the dog's semen? That's really... Is that... I have heard of people having a semen allergy. That's the thing. Maybe she had one for dogs. Yeah, weird. Okay, well, just as listeners of the show, do me a favor and never, ever, ever go into a bestiality chat room on the internet. That's such an early 2000s thing, an internet chat room. That's weird. Yeah, I think McDonnell probably should be added to a sex offender registry. That's probably good. The dog being euthanized, that's a lot. You kill dogs when they bite a baby or an old person and kill them because it's like that's just behavior that they've now learnt and that's just a bit too risky. It's the same with most animals. When they attack a human, you destroy that animal because it's a learned behavior and now it's the risk that they'll do it again is too great. But, I mean, is there a risk that the dog is going to have sex with another woman? Like, I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe that is too risky. I wouldn't have euthanized the dog. I would have given the dog a cigarette and And if it ever wanted to do it again, I would just say I had a headache. Okay. Taylor Mitchell. Okay. Next person on our list, we have also talked about in depth. She's on the list because she's one of the only people who have been attacked by this animal. Taylor Mitchell, of course, the 19-year-old Canadian folk singer who was killed by a pair of coyotes while hiking at Cape Brennan Highlands National Park. She's the only known fatal coyote attack on an adult. There are, as of this year, as far as I know, still only been 2 fatal attacks on people in general. 1 adult and 1 child. Taylor Mitchell was the adult that was killed by 2 coyotes, or a pack of coyotes, I think it was. The other was a young girl, I think from Georgia in the United States. It was a baby pretty much, and the coyote essentially grabbed it by the head and broke its neck as it ran away. Super sad. I don't know if there have been any other children killed, but I do know that there haven't been any other adults killed by coyotes. So, yeah, she died on the 28th of October, 2009. There is a whole Taylor Mitchell, the death of Taylor Mitchell episode that we did quite early on, I believe, back maybe in like 2021 or 2022. So go and listen to that if you want to know more about that one. This one, I don't think we have heard about. This is a crazy story. I'd never heard of this before. So the victims here are known as the 20 passengers and crew of a plane crash. So the 20 passengers and crew of a Let L410 turbojet were killed in a crash resulting from an escaped crocodile in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The animal was smuggled aboard by a passenger, but escaped mid-flight. Panicked passengers surged forwards, unbalancing the plane and causing a loss of control. The crocodile survived the crash, but was promptly killed by a blow from a machete. Wow. When I first saw this, saw the photos and I just saw a plane crash and crocodile. I was like, oh, a plane crash is like it's crashing like a swamp or something, and crocodiles have killed like the survivors. But no, some idiot put a full on crocodile on a plane, and somehow it escaped, and they've just panicked and rushed. I didn't know that you could I guess that makes sense. You could tip the balance off a plane in midair. It's also kind of sad that the crocodile survived the crash and then was just killed by a guy with a machete. Let the crocodile live. He's a miracle crocodile. He deserves to live. That's a wild story. This one seems to have its own page too. Let's see if I can read a little bit more, because this is interesting. The aircraft was operating a round-robin domestic flight from Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo, stopping at Kiri, Bokorano, and Bandundu at 1 p.m. local time. While on final approach to Bandundu Airport, the aircraft crashed into a house approximately 1 kilometer short of the runway. According to most sources, no one was injured on the ground, but 19 people were killed instantaneously, with 2 survivors being taken to hospital, one of whom later died from their injuries. Of the 21 people on board, only 1 passenger survived. Most of the dead were from the Congo. There was no post-impact fire, a circumstance that led initial speculation that the aircraft had suffered fuel exhaustion. Wow. The investigation. So the only survivor of the crash stated to investigators that a crocodile smuggled in a duffel bag by one of the passengers had escaped shortly before landing, sparking panic among the passengers. The flight attendant rushed towards the cockpit, followed by all of the passengers, and resulted in the shift of the aircraft's center of gravity, leading to an irrecoverable loss of control. The crocodile reportedly survived the crash, but was killed by a blow from a machete. I want to see if I can find any confirmation on that. Like, who killed it with a machete and why? Because that's an interesting thing that happened. Can I read this news article, or are you going to make me pay for it? It doesn't say who killed him. Just, again, the crocodile reportedly survived the crash, but was killed by a blow of a machete. So there's no way to actually, confirm that happened or not. Yeah, pretty crazy. Also, I thought it was a fully grown crocodile, but it's just in a duffel bag. I don't know, I guess I'd still be scared, but I don't know if I'd, rush the cockpit. That's a lot. Let's talk not about cockpits. Let's talk about cockfights. Hey, that's a pretty good, that's a pretty great transition there. Jose Luis Ocha died on the 30th of January 2011. The 35-year-old died after being stabbed in the leg at an illegal cockfight in Tulare County in California by a bird with a knife-like spur strapped to his leg. Wow, there you go. I haven't talked about this before, but I have talked about the fact that I played a chimpanzee in the play Trevor, which was based on the Travis the chimpanzee incident, which we've talked about a few times. What I haven't told you guys is that a few years earlier, I actually played a cockfighting rooster in a play called Year of the Rooster. I was 25 at the time, I think. No, probably like 23 or 24. It was a while ago. I played a rooster that participated in cockfights named Odysseus Rex, and I still think it might be one of the best characters I've ever played. He was a very aggressive chicken, and then my owner brings home like a genetically mutated, like featherless, fat, plucked KFC chicken that I fall in love with, and it's very beautiful. And then, and I would also get very aggressive, but then he put like a little blinder on me and I'd be like, oh, it's nighttime. The sun went away. That's fine. He had beef with the sun. Anyway, that's a bit of a roundabout way of saying it's interesting that this guy died in a cockfight with a knife-like spur strapped to its leg. Don't do cockfights, guys. In California, too. Where is Tulare County? Is it in Los Angeles? Or is that like, where is it? Tulare County. I'm going to guess it's probably not in the city of Los... Oh, maybe it is. Jesus. I'm going to have to look it up now because there's going to be someone from California screaming. It's located in California. No, it's not in Los Angeles. It's not in any big city. Sequoia National Park is located... Oh, okay. Located in the county, as is parts of Kings Canyon National Park. There you go. Nice. It's near Fresno. It's like... Fresno is not part of the county, but it's near Fresno. Okay, so it's not there. All right. Great. All right, well, there you go. Don't fight cocks. Next person on our list is an unknown man and woman. On June 6, 2011, two unnamed people were killed in an accident on a rural Quebec road when a, quote, flying bear collided with their SUV. The 200-kilogram black bear was sent airborne by a car in front of the SUV after it had stepped into the path of traffic on Highway 148. The bear passed through the windshield, hitting the driver and passenger sitting behind her before passing through the rear window. The driver's boyfriend was in the front passenger seat and received injuries to his upper body, which were also described as non-life-threatening. The bear also died. God damn. Imagine just going for a drive and a fucking bear goes through your windshield. Oh, Jesus. Not great. The next death was the year later. Erica Marshall died on the 10th of February 2012. The 28-year-old British veterinarian in Ocala, Florida, died when the horse she was treating... Oh, what? The horse she was treating in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber kicked the wall, releasing a spark from its horseshoe, causing a fire and an explosion. The horse was also killed, and another worker was seriously injured. That is... Wow. That is an insane turn of events. Oh, Jesus. Kicked the wall, releasing a spark from its horseshoe. I bet you now that there's like a rule that they can't have horseshoes on in the hyperbaric chambers. Damn. That's really sad. Poor Erica. This next person's also a victim. I don't think it's his fault. Anthony Hensley was killed on the 14th of April, 2012. The 37-year-old was killed by a swan while kayaking across a pond at a residential complex in Des Plaines, Illinois. After getting too close to the bird's nest, the swan attacked him, threw him out of the kayak, and prevented him from surfacing, ultimately drowning him. Oh my God. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing when you're killed by an animal that no one else has been killed by. Swans are dicks, though. Like, I don't know if I've told this story before. When I was a kid, my mum and my sister and myself went to Black Butte Reserve, which is like I guess you call it like a national park or forest, something like that, near where we live, just for the afternoon after school. And we kind of got separated. We were walking around the lake, and a swan, like, kind of cornered me and scared. Like, he did the thing with his wings. He got really big and he scared the shit out of me, and I was crying because I was really little. And my sister and my mum were like laughing at me because they're like, "Oh, it's just a swan." And I got so pissed off because I'm like, I know that they can be dangerous. And I had a book called like Australia's Deadliest, and it was just like a book of all the Australian animals that are native here or introduced that can kill you. And I'm like, I opened up to the page of the swan. I'm like, fucking bitch, read this. And I read out loud that the swans, they've been known to like, they have clubs on their wings, like where their elbow is really bony and really strong, and they can basically club you hard enough to break your legs, and then you can drown in the water, which is potentially what happened to this guy. It sounds like he wasn't broken, his legs weren't broken, but he was like put into the water and like held down until he drowned, which is an insane way to die. 37-year-old kayaker too. You imagine that they're pretty healthy, pretty strong, yeah, and they were taken down by a swan. So fuck you, Mom, and my sister. I could have died. It wasn't funny. Also, well, okay, I'm going to say this one is a little funny. This victim was named James Campbell, and he died. He was 68 years old. He died when he left his van to open the gate, and his dog stepped on the van's gas pedal and ran him over. You've heard of GTA 5? This is GTA Fido. There's probably a better joke there, but I'm not going to make it. Yeah, that happened on the 14th of January, 2013. Imagine having vehicular homicide committed against you by man's best friend, by old Spot. Wow. The next guy who died was Takuya Nagaya. It was a 23-year-old from Japan. He started to slither around on the floor, and he claimed that he'd been possessed by a snake. He died after his father spent the next 2 days headbutting him and biting him to drive out the snake that had possessed him. This occurred on the 18th of January, 2013. So, not really... Okay, that one's really a bit of a stretch. The animal didn't have anything to do with that, but he thought he was a snake. An imaginary snake had possessed him, and then the dad beat the shit out of him to drive out the snake. I guess he did it because he stopped slithering around, but he also did it too well because he's fucking dead now. An unknown Belarusian man died in 2013. Unnamed 60-year-old Belarusian fisherman bled to death after being bitten by a beaver, which he had tried to grab in order to have its picture taken with it. One of the many, many deaths people have made from animals by trying to have a photo taken with it. There's no more dangerous act with an animal than taking a selfie. I've always said that. It's not true, but I still say it. I'm not sure how to pronounce this first name. It's Joao with like a little accent over the A. Is it like João? I'm going to go João, but I could be completely wrong. João Maria de Souza was a 45-year-old who was crushed in his bed by a cow falling through the roof of his home in Brazil. The cow had climbed on top of the house from a steep hillside behind it. Both the cow and his wife, who was in the bed next to him, were unharmed. This occurred in 2013. I think I remember that story happening. I remember the news reports of like, yeah, dude just fucking died because a cow fell through his roof. Damn. That sucks. I have a theory that the cow and the wife had an affair and that he didn't fall through the roof. The man was murdered. You can't get angry for me, guys. It's just a theory. It's just what I think. It's just a theory. I'm just asking questions, man. You liberal media cucks. You don't like questions, do you? Yeah. Well, I do have another story now. We have covered it. I actually think we covered this way back in like episode 3 or 4, where we talked about python attacks. So Noah Barth and Connor Barth were two youngsters. They were brothers. They were aged 4 and 6 respectively. They were killed when an African rock python escaped during a sleepover at their friend's apartment in New Brunswick in Canada. So the snake had escaped from its inadequate enclosure, moved through the air ducts that were easily accessible to the snake, and then the snake fell through the ceiling where the boys slept 3 meters away. The snake suffocated them. It did not attempt to eat them, though. However, an African rock python would not constrict unless they are planning to eat. Therefore, it is likely that the owners of the python also failed to feed their pet. The python was euthanized. Yeah, I remember that story. I also remember the story of Gypsy the python. It was another one where inadequate enclosure, the snake got out and it strangled and tried to eat the baby, and the baby died. And the snake was stabbed, but it survived as well. And as of like recording a year or two ago, the snake was still alive at like an Air Force base, I believe. Yeah, that's a really sad story. I did cover it in more detail years ago. The episode was called Gypsy the Python, so you can go and listen to it there. I've been thinking about re-recording some episodes from earlier on that kind of sounded a bit crap, because my first episodes were like 20 minutes a pop. I didn't really get in depth into anything. So maybe we'll go back and talk about this one, or maybe not. But if you are interested, it is there. The next death. Now, this guy's name was JRN, which is pretty cool. A 52-year-old Brazilian man identified only as JRN. Oh, this isn't cool at all. Attempted to commit... I thought the name was cool, by the way. That's all I was saying. He attempted to commit bestiality with a cow in Mato Grosso, but was attacked by the animal and wounded in its... and wounded in the genitals. He died from cardiac arrest. Wow. Imagine being kicked in the balls so hard you have a heart attack. Oh, man, that would be painful. Oh, God. His arms and face were also mutilated by the animal. Initially, police believed the man had been murdered and disposed of at the farm, but this was disproven as numerous pieces of evidence showed that the man had drunk alcohol, used a condom, and had been wearing only underwear. The man had worked at the farm for 2 years. Oh, God, never trust your employees, guys. I've always said that. God, terrible. Stop doing that, guys. I don't know why. I mean, I've never found a cow sexually attractive, so I'd never do this. God, just kicked in the genitals so hard you fucking die. That's insane. All right, this guy's name is Hevel Yildirim, who was a 13-year-old. Oh no, the 13-year-old from Turkey was killed when a sacrificial goat that he bought for Eid jumped off the roof over a protective fence and fell onto him. Oh, God. His father had placed it on the roof of the building where he lived because he could not find another suitable place to keep it. Yeah, you know what? If you don't have a suitable place to keep your goat, don't get a goat for Eid. Sorry. Plenty of people have Eid without sacrificing a goat. That was in 2014. So, I don't know why we're still sacrificing goats, guys, but we are. 3rd of October 2014. Poor boy. I don't know if the father was charged. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully he was. That's pretty bad. Peng Fan. He was a chef in Fushan, China, who was bitten by a cobra's severed head, which he had cut off 20 minutes earlier while preparing soup. He died in August of 2014. Wow. So ahead of it's still, I guess it is still venomous. The venom doesn't go anywhere. It's kept in the venom glands, which I believe are in the head or the neck. Damn. I think if you're cooking cobra soup and you cut the head off, just put it in a bag and put it away so you don't accidentally stab yourself. Damn. I wonder if the head still had the, you know how you cut a chicken head off and the chicken can still run around, and sometimes if you cut a limb off it can still move sometimes. I wonder if the head still had any functionality to actually bite, because it says he was bitten by a cobra's head, not that he accidentally stabbed it. Damn. Okay. Stephen Winfrey died in January of 2015. The 50-year-old became trapped and asphyxiated when rabbiting near Doncaster in England after his head became stuck down a rabbit hole. Well, that was a bit silly. Don't stick your head in the rabbit hole. Have you learned nothing from Bugs Bunny? You shove dynamite in the rabbit hole and then you blow it up. And then you realize as you push the plunger down that the fuse is going the wrong direction, and you look behind you and Bugs Bunny's put the dynamite in your back pocket because he's a wily little motherfucker. That's what you should have done, Stephen. But instead, you shoved your head down a rabbit hole and you died of asphyxiation. Dumb. Randy Lanes, 29th of May 2015 was the date he passed away. The 47-year-old fisherman from Kaleokona, Hawaii, was killed by a swordfish. He had harpooned the fish and jumped into the water to retrieve it, but the swordfish impaled him in the chest. That's kind of calmer a little bit. Harpoon me, I'll harpoon you, you motherfucker. And then he stabs him. Bad. That was my racist Hawaiian fish accent, by the way. I don't want to offend any Hawaiian fish that may be listening, but I just believe that's what you all sound like. Jalen Rippey was a 5-year-old who died. He was killed by a leaping sturgeon while he was boating with her Jalen's a girl. The 5-year-old was killed by a leaping sturgeon while she was boating with her family near Fanning Springs in Florida. Her mother and brother were also injured and needed facial reconstruction surgery. Yeah, sturgeons can get fucking huge. I don't know if this is gonna be the last time we get a person killed by a fish jumping on their boat. She died on the 2nd of July, 2015. Moving into 2016, the year where it all started going wrong, in my opinion, Irma Buell. Buell or Bule? Buell. Let's go Buell. No, let's go Bule, because she's from Indonesia. That sounds better. 14th of April 2016, the 29-year-old Indonesian dangdut singer, who performed with live snakes, died during a concert after being bitten by a king cobra and refusing treatment. Well, there are so many things wrong with what that sentence just said. So many red flags. Performing with live snakes, dancing with live snakes, being bitten by a cobra, then refusing treatment. Not a great day for her. Any one of those steps could have, we probably could have avoided a death there. Maybe don't dance with the snakes. Maybe they're not live snakes. Maybe if you do get bitten by one of the snakes, maybe you go to hospital. I don't know. Feel like an incident report should have been filled out for that one for sure. All right, moving on. Did you guys know I can speak a little Indonesian? I bet you didn't. We learned it in primary school because the year 6 teacher's wife was from Indonesia. I can say, Terima kasih, Ibu. Nama saya James. That means my name is James. I can't say my favorite color, but I know the color. It's merah, which is red, or biru, which is blue. I don't remember any of the other ones, but I do know that if you need to catch a bus, you'd be catching a bis, and if you want to get a car, you'd be getting in the mobile. There's a bunch of other ones that I can't remember. But yeah, we did learn it for like 4 years. That's pretty much all I remember. Terima kasih, Ibu. I think that means thank you very much. Okay. An unknown girl died in July of 2016, on the 26th of July. A 7-year-old girl died after being struck by a stone thrown by an elephant from its enclosure at a zoo in Rabat in Morocco. Elephants are dicks, guys. They're my favorite animals, but they are dicks. Fucking asshole. I've seen a video too. I think someone threw a water bottle into an elephant enclosure. The elephant just picks up and fucking hurls it back. They can throw hard. This kid got stoned to death by an elephant. Damn. Now I don't know if we've talked about this next guy before, but I think maybe we mentioned it. I don't know. Akbar Sulubiru. Yeah, we have talked about this guy before, I remember. In the same episode as Gypsy the Python. In March of 2017, the 25-year-old man was killed and swallowed by a reticulated python in Indonesia in the first fully confirmed case of a snake swallowing an adult human. A second case happened there the following year when another reticulated python killed and swallowed a woman in her garden. I remember that story. If you want the deep dive on that, go and listen to the Gypsy the Python episode. Yeah, wow. Now, this next one is weird. I actually have a personal connection to this. And I should have checked with my fiance before I recorded, but she's at work now and I'm not. But I'm fairly sure it's either this same guy or someone who died of a similar death. I'm fairly certain that Celia's brother was friends with this person. So this person's name was Sam Ballard. He died in October of 2018. He was a 29-year-old from Sydney in Australia, which is where Celia's family's from. He died of angiostrongyliasis after eating a garden slug as a dare 8 years earlier. Insane story that parasite or that disease could kill you after laying dormant for 8 years. But he died. I'm pretty sure that this is the same person that was friends with Celia's brother. So I don't know. Maybe I can get some more insider information there. But it was pretty sad what happened. And I remember it being in the news as well. If you get dared to do something like this, guys, if you get dared to eat a garden slug, just don't eat the garden slug. Just don't eat don't eat anything that's a dare. It can't be good. Another one in Australia, guys, Paul McDonald. I don't have any connection to this. He died on the 17th of April, 2019. The 47-year-old was attacked and killed by a pet deer, said to be an elk, on his property in northeast Victoria in Australia. In case you're not aware, elk and deer are not native to Australia. They were introduced when the English and the Europeans colonized, but they do seem to like it here. They live quite well. An elk, I didn't know it was an elk. Elk are quite large. So yeah, that's bad. And I guess it's like why it's unusual is because we don't really have those here. This next person's name was Marvin Hajos. He died on the 12th of April, 2019. The 75-year-old former car salesman and exotic animal collector was attacked and killed by his recently purchased pet cassowary. The large bird repeatedly kicked the man, which punctured the man's skin and severed his brachial artery in his arm. Hajos was declared dead by the time paramedics arrived at the scene, and the cassowary was auctioned off to a different owner. I do think we've talked about this guy. We did an episode called Birds of Prey where we talked about all the different types of birds that can be dangerous, and cassowary is obviously like at the top of that list. And I think he's one of the only people who's actually been killed by a cassowary. I also thought there was a story of a woman getting kicked in the chest and getting because they have really long knife-like claws on their feet, the talons. I'm pretty sure she got stabbed in the heart. But yeah, they are dangerous animals. They look like dinosaurs. They're creepy, but they are cool. We're nearly at the end of our list, guys. Only a few more left. Christian Bullock was a lieutenant who was the police chief. The lieutenant, who was the police chief of San Jose North Samar in the Philippines, died during an anti-gambling raid. He was trying to grab a cockfighting rooster when the razor-sharp metal blade attached to the rooster's leg to kill its opponent cut a gaping hole in his leg and sliced his femoral artery, causing him to bleed to death. He died on the 26th of October, 2020. So we are in the 2020s now. Second cockfighting one on the list. Jesus. An unknown man. Now, this is one where it's not really an animal, but I thought I'd include it because it's kind of interesting and funny. The body of a 39-year-old man was found wedged inside the hind leg of a papier-mâché statue of a stegosaurus in Santa Coloma de Gramenet, Catalina, Spain. Initial reports did not suspect foul play. A police representative hypothesized that the individual may have crawled inside headfirst to retrieve a lost mobile phone before his leg became stuck, trapping him inside. Firefighters had to cut the statue apart to extract the body. Police observers believed that he may have been trapped in there for a couple of days. Local media claimed that the family of the victim had reported him missing only hours prior to the discovery of the body. The body was discovered when a man and his son noticed an unusual smell from the statue and saw the body through a crack in the statue. So yeah, not even the slightest of connection to an animal there, but a stegosaurus is an animal. They're not real anymore, they're dead, but this is the closest you can get to being killed by one. This is actually the closest you can get to being killed by a dinosaur in today's age, unless you're like on one of those Jurassic Park world films and like a big giant Tyrannosaurus Rex leg falls on top of you. But yeah, that's very sad. There's a lot of, in the list of weird deaths, there's a lot of people getting trapped in weird places. There was one who got trapped behind like the soda machine at work and was there for like days. There was a kid who got trapped in like inside a gym mat at school and just died there as well. That's got to be a pretty terrifying way to go, just getting trapped. I heard an interesting thing as well, that like if you're immortal, say you're like Wolverine and you can live forever, the odds of you, if you're going to live forever, the odds of you getting trapped forever, they skyrocket. And I was like, how does that make sense? But like, yeah, if you're alive forever, then there's enough time for pretty much anything to happen, including getting stuck in like a hole forever and you can't get out of. So I don't think you want to live forever because you're going to spend most of it trapped in a hole, I think is what the philosophical argument is there. All right, we've got three more. The first one is an unknown man who died, October 31st, day after my birthday, Halloween of 2021. The 30-year-old man was fishing with two friends at a lake in Brazil when the group was attacked by bees. He and his friends jumped into the lake to escape the bees, but the man drowned and was partially eaten by piranhas. His friends survived. That's a double up. I think that's the first one here where we've doubled up. It was piranhas and bees. Although I don't think he was killed by the piranhas. He was eaten by the piranhas after he had died. Joseph Smith, not the horny fraud from Mormonism. No, Joseph Austin Smith, the 21st of January 2023, he is the second last victim on our list. The 30-year-old from Wichita, Kansas, was killed in his pickup truck during a hunting trip when his dog discharged a rifle from the back seat. Smith was sitting in the front passenger seat of his vehicle when the dog stepped on the rifle, which pulled the trigger and shot him. Holy shit. Between that dog and the dog that ran over his owner in the car, it's like the Bonnie and Clyde of canines. Wow. By the way, great idea for a film. Someone write that right now. Canine Bonnie and Clyde. I love that. Bonnie and we can still call him Clyde. That's a pretty good name for a dog. All right. Now the last one on our list, we actually talked about it last week. Shivdale Sharma died on the 19th of April 2023. The 82-year-old was reportedly urinating next to a train track in the region of Alwar in India when a cow was hit by an express train. The animal was launched 100 feet into the air before landing on Sharma, killing him instantly. And you know what, Sharma? That's called Sharma's karma right there. You don't pee on train tracks. If you pee on the train tracks fight backs. That's a weird little rhyme there, isn't it? Well, there you go, guys. That's our list, at least from the year 2000 to 2023. All the weird and wacky ways people have died because of animals. We're going to take a break now. But if you did like that, if you do like this format, let me know. I can go back through the list because it does go back quite a while, and I can see what other wacky ways people have died from animals. I have to imagine the further back in history we get, the more crazy it's going to be. Because if we're in 2014 and people are getting killed by sacrificial goats on their roof, I can't imagine what it was like 100 or 200 years ago. So, let me know if you want to hear more of that. We might do a part 3 in the future. But for now, take a break, go and do a wee, and we'll be back with the rest of our episode soon. I nearly said soon, but soon. Soon, see? And we're back. How was your break? What did you get up to? I'll be honest. I'll tell you what I did. I texted a friend. I went and did a poo. And I watched one Sopranos clip on TikTok. That's what I did. If you did the exact same 3 things as me, let me know. Because I think we need to meet. We've got so much in common. Okay, gang. You know what time it is. It is time, of course. Ooh, do you smell that? Can you hear that? Can you hear that, guys? What's that? Ooh, that feels good, guys. It's the scratch of the day. Scratch of the day. Of course, it's the segment of the show where we talk about what's going on in the news lately. Animal attacks that have occurred in the last week or so. We've got 3 good ones for you. I believe all of them from the good old US of A. Our first story, a woman was attacked by a coyote on the University of Iowa campus. Now, it's interesting that we talk about this because we did mention that Taylor Mitchell, of course, the only adult, I nearly said human, the only adult to be killed by coyotes in history. Let's see if they mention her in this story. So, the story reads, officials in Iowa City are investigating a rare animal attack involving a coyote, and the attack happened on the University of Iowa campus. The Cedar Rapids Gazette reports that the attack happened around 4 p.m. on Monday while the woman was walking along the Mormon Handcart Trail near 116 Hawkeye Crescent. Officials say that the woman felt something biting her ankle. When she turned around, the animal lunged towards her and began to bite and scratch her. Based on the woman's description of the animal, DNR officials believe it was a coyote. The animal had not yet been found. The Gazette reports that the woman who was attacked is being treated for rabies, has scrapes, bite marks, and lacerations to her head, face, and upper body. The wound on her arm required stitches. Jesus. That makes me think that she must have fallen over during the attack and they've attacked her that way. Because there's no way it could get to her head unless she's very short. DNR officials say that the coyote attacks in Iowa are extremely rare. The Gazette reports that there hasn't been a recorded case in Iowa in 20 years. Investigators say they have 2 theories on why this animal attacked. The first is that the coyote might have rabies, which is why the woman is receiving preventative treatment for that disease. Officials say that is why they need to find the animal to make sure it isn't spreading the disease. The second reason the coyote might have attacked is that it's a mother with a litter of puppies nearby and it was acting in defense. DNR officials have searched the area and did not find any evidence of a litter nearby. Officials say that residents should continue to be aware of their surroundings and not leave food items outside and have their pets vaccinated for rabies. Yeah, damn. Well, no Taylor Mitchell mention. This did happen yesterday, as far as I know, quite recently. So hopefully that woman is recovering nice and well, and I hope that she tests negative for rabies. And if she does have rabies, I hope that they are able to treat it very quickly, because rabies, as we know, if left untreated, has a 100% mortality rate. It is not a disease you want to fuck around with. However, only a couple people a year actually contract rabies. It is an extremely rare disease in the United States and the Western world, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, our next story, a black bear has attacked a 15-year-old boy. The 15-year-old boy is recovering after he was attacked by a bear inside a cabin in eastern Arizona on Thursday. Oh, it's a video. Let's listen to the video. Let's listen to the transcript, actually. Okay. I'm going to read the transcript because the video is going to be boring and I don't want to break any laws. Okay. We feel very blessed that it wasn't worse. That's how Carol Hawkins feels after her 15-year-old son, Brigham, survived a bear attack while in Alpine, Arizona. He was in the one cabin by himself watching Pokemon, Carol speaking with me on Friday as her family drove back to their home in Pima. She and some members of the family had been with Carol's parents at their property with several cabins. The door was open and the bear came in, and from what he told us, it swiped him twice in the face and he started screaming. The black bear ultimately striking the teen multiple times. Carol says Bingham has a rare genetic condition, so escaping wasn't an option for him. But the teen's 18-year-old brother nearby heard the screams, and we're very grateful that our 18-year-old was there and he heard that Bingham was screaming. We didn't hear him, and that the other cabin heard Bingham screaming and was able to go out and get the bear away from the cabin. Brigham could shut the door, and the bear chasing several family members before Carol's husband reached Brigham and was able to call for help. Amazing first responders from the Alpine came in and helped get Brigham to an ambulance. He was a trooper. He did an amazing job, the team getting treatment for his injuries, and is physically expected to be okay. This could have been really tragic. Lieutenant Sean Wagner with the Arizona Game of Fish and Wildlife said that the bear was a male, around 3 years old. It was ultimately found to not be far away and did have to be put down in this situation. The bear was absolutely food driven. We have a pretty well laid out policy about human-wildlife interactions, and any time that a wild animal makes physical contact with a person, public safety is always going to be our number one interest. He says on Friday he was taken to the state health lab there. He will have a precautionary test for rabies yesterday. He will have a precautionary test for rabies. Yesterday, I had it all together. You know, when you start thinking about it, it gets a little harder. Carol and her family are still processing the attack. They feel very blessed that he was protected and that he's okay, but ultimately they're leaving the Alpine feeling thankful. There you go. Well, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I'm going to watch the video now just on silent, just to see if there's any video or any pictures. He does look like he's been completely just mauled. Yeah, so he's got scratches on his face and arm. He does have a genetic condition. He looks very skinny, so maybe that's why he was unable to run for help. I'm just going to scrub through. This video is pretty much just a lady talking on the phone, so it's not super interesting. So I'm glad I read that for you, because now it's my voice you get to hear. Hooray! Okay, final story for the day. A Clear Lake woman's body has been found in an alligator's mouth, police say. Wow. This story takes place in Clear Lake in Texas. Have I mentioned lately how much I like American place names? They're so simple. Clear Lake, Salt Lake, Grand Rapids. I just love the way that they sound. It's beautiful. The body of a woman was found in the jaws of an alligator on Tuesday morning in Clear Lake. Houston police were searching for a woman reported missing when they found a human remains along the banks of the Horsepen Bayou near El Dorado and Park Estates. The HPD Houston Police Department sergeant fatally shot the alligator to prevent it from doing more damage to the body. A neighbor shared a couple of photographs with ABC 13 of the law enforcement response. In a statement to ABC 13, Maggie Berger, a spokesperson for the law enforcement division with Texas Parks and Wildlife, wrote, quote, "On May 28th, Texas game wardens provided assistance to the Houston Police Department in the recovery of human remains found near an alligator. The woman's cause of death has not been determined. HPD is currently investigating the incident and will be the lead agency moving forward. Our thoughts are with the woman's family during this time. An autopsy will determine how the woman died. HPD homicide investigators have been assigned the case." Quote, "They live down there. We see 8 feet, 10 feet babies. I don't know. I know which banks to stay away from and which ones like to lay in the sun," Angela Duras, after fishing in the bayou Tuesday night, said. "That's the first time I've heard of that happening down here. It's a little scary." Fatal alligator attacks are rare in Texas. The last one was in Orange in 2015. A 28-year-old man was killed while swimming in Adams Bayou. It was the first fatal attack in more than 90 years. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's going to be definitely a follow-up up. I want to know what happened to this woman and how she ended up being chewed on by an alligator. Feeding a dead body, if you are going to kill someone, feeding it to a crocodile or alligator, pretty good way of getting rid of a body, to be completely honest, especially if the cause of death is blunt force trauma or injuries that can look like it was killed by a alligator. 3 American stories, actually, so thanks for tuning into that. We're going to call that our episode, gang. It's been an hour. Thank you so much for joining me, as always. It's a pleasure. I love doing the show with you guys. We are on the march now to episode 100. I truly did not think we would see the day. This was episode 96, I believe, yes? Starting next week, we're going to start a 4-part series. I'm very excited for this. I've been dreaming about this series since the podcast began. And I always knew that when we hit 100, this is what we'd be kind of looking to do. We're going to start a series next week called The Kill Count, or The Kill Countdown, I should say. The Man-Eater's Kill Countdown. We've covered a lot of deadly animals over the last few years, but there are some that etch out the others in terms of their numbers, their death tolls. So we're going to look at all those. We're going to look at the top 10 man-eaters in history by kill count. We're going to start with number 10 next week. We might do 10, 9, and 8, and then we'll do 3 or 4 animals each episode until we end up with the number 1 killer on episode 100, which, if you know, I'm not going to say it right now, but if you know what the number 1 killer is, you'll know we've covered it before, and it's quite a fitting, kind of round circle of life kind of way to round out our first century of episodes. So I am very excited for that. So join us next week for our first episode of the Kill Countdown, where we talk about 3 of the deadliest animals to ever exist, responsible for at least 100 deaths each, I believe. So that's going to be very exciting. Until then, guys, I want you to do a few things for me. Can you please go over to our Instagram and follow us? You can follow me as well, at Jimothy Chaps. I performed a live pop-up concert because I'm doing School of Rock. I'm playing the lead in School of Rock. We did a little concert for little free ticket giveaway. I got so many follows from that, so thank you to those people if you're listening to this, which you're probably not, but you can also follow Man Eaters Podcast on Instagram as well. We have a website. You can go buy some merch. A couple of you have sent me some photos at the gym, on the train, looking fancy, looking great in your Man Eaters merch. I'm thinking of getting some more Man Eaters merch made, so if you have any suggestions, you can let me know. Of course, best way to get in touch with me is just directly messaging through the Instagram, but there is an email address down below in the description as well. And finally, of course, the Patreon is there as well. If you think you'd like to support the show a little bit more, you can of course go and do that. Very little money for the price of a big old cup of coffee a month. You can support me and support the show. I try to post there every now and again. The more people we get there, obviously I'll post some more things. So but very grateful to those of you who have been there since the beginning. A couple of you have been there since the beginning, and that does not get lost on me, so thank you so much for that. That's going to do our episode for this week. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. See you next week with our first episode of Kill Countdown, and until then, please stay safe out there, because it's a jungle out there.